Today, I would like to share how ASCOPE and its member organizations have worked together over the past 50 years to strengthen collaborations aligned with the ASEAN visions of sustainable energy future. So let's begin with the presentations. I just spit away the slides. Okay. Okay. So you may see here, it is the founders of ASCOPE. So 50 years ago, ASCOPE was founded as a simple yet powerful vision to strengthen cooperation among ASEAN's countries in the petroleum industries. Established through the ASCOPE declarations, this vision called for sharing knowledge, skills, and experience in managing and operating the petroleum industries. Today, as we gather in Kuala Lumpur, that's exactly the same date over with 50 years ago, we celebrate not only that legacy of cooperations, but also our renewed purpose to move from powering growth to driving the energy transition across Southeast Asia. So ASCOPE journey began in Jakarta, October 15, 1975, guided by visionary leaders across the regions. From the oil-dominated era in the 1970s, ASCOPE evolved through decades of collaborations. From joint exploration, last time we did East Natuna exploration joint studies, and gas integrations in the 1980s that later we know that Trans-ASEAN gas pipeline to regional cooperation under APEC in the 1980s. And later expanding into low carbon initiative in the 2000s. Each decade tells a story of transformations, from oil and gas to a cleaner, more sustainable energy future. This journey marks ASCOPE evolutions, with new members joining, the establishment of the Clean Energy Task Force, and the celebrations of its Golden Jubilee this year. ASCOPE's strength lies in its task forces, the engine that turns idea into actions. The Exploration and Production Task Force drives upstream's innovations and develops critical guidelines. The Gas Advocacy Task Force, established in 1999 as response of the Trans-ASEAN gas pipeline mandate from the government, advanced regional gas connectivity through the TAGP and LNG as a virtual connecting. And we have studies, and also we have a Clean Energy Task Forces, formally led in 2023, lead in the charge of renewables and decarbonizations. And the Policy Research and the Capability Building Task Force serve thought leaderships through study on carbon pricings, knowledge sharings, and also we have a technology standards. Together, these teams transform cooperations into the progress. ASCOPE connect idea with actions through research, policy alignment, and capacity building. It has developed the CCS and CCUS cross-border agreement guideline, advanced methane management through a regional roadmap and training programs, and also published the Beyond Retirement Handbook of Decommissioning. In upstream investment, ASCOPE benchmark on fiscal frameworks and hosted forums to share best practices also. This achievement represents a step forward in harmonizing ASEAN energy policies towards shared sustainability goals. No collaboration stands alone, and ASCOPE's success thrives through engagement. Ministerial and senior official meetings help align ASEAN's policy directions. Partnership with organizations like ACE, IOGP, IPCA, USAID, and the World Bank broaden ASCOPE reach and also expertise. Through council and task force meetings, national efforts are united into one regional mission, Every day, the dialogue, every forums reinforce a single commitment, a stronger and more integrated ASEAN energy community. As the regions enter a new era of energy transitions, ASCOPE continue to lead with strategic initiative. The Trans-ASEAN gas pipeline now already interconnect 3,600 kilometers of infrastructures and virtual connection in 15 LNG terminals, driving energy security and market integrations. In upstream investment, ASCOPE worked together to attract the greater foreign direct investment through fiscal and policy reforms. Meanwhile, clean energy mapping identifies new opportunity for renewables, while the ASEAN power grid promised a major capacity expansion by 2050, symbolizing ASEAN march toward a low carbon future. So looking ahead, ASCOPE is shaping the region's energy future through two key commitments: the ASCOPE Charter and the APAIC post-2025 plan. The Charter affirms our shared visions: a secure, resilient, and sustainable ASEAN energy landscape. The APAIC framework will set a new programs area for oil and gas connectivity, security, and sustainability that already launched recently in the AMEM 2025. As ASCOPE marks its 50th anniversary, it stands ready to continue its missions not only to the power ASEAN, but to empower its transitions. That is end my presentation. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Bu Garin, for your presentation. And now we will move on to the panel session, where I will invite the moderator for the session today, my boss, Mr. Suwanto, the head of Fossil Fuel, Hydrocarbon, and Minerals Department. Please, Mas Suwanto.
Yeah, thank you, Shania, for the introduction. So first of all, very good afternoon and probably good evening to all of you. And personally, I'm very happy to moderate this session, because I think this session is the only session that talking about the fossil fuels in the ABF. Because I think from yesterday, today, and perhaps tomorrow, there is more discussion on the power grid, on the renewable energy, but I think this is the only talking about the oil and gas business strategies that I think is still relevant in the energy transition era. That's why our team is thinking on having this session. So because as mentioned by Shania earlier, that the fossil fuels, in particular oil and gas, are still in our life. I guess so. It's still very important energy source in the in ASEAN. So thank you again for all the participants, and it's, I think, the last session today for today 5 p.m. and we'll be here for next half an hour, I guess. So without further ado, I will call again Ibu Margaretha Thaliharjanti, or Ibu Garin, the Vice President of the Pertamina Energy Institute, the Chair of the ASCOPE Exploration and Production Task Force, as well as the ASCOPE Country Coordinator for Indonesia, to join with me in front. Bu Garin, please. And then the next, Mr. Abdul Aziz Othman, or Mr. Aziz, the President of the Malaysia Gas Association or MGA, or the as well as the regional coordinator for South and Southeast Asia International Gas Union, or IGU, with, I guess, with over on 37 years, Mr. Aziz, of extensive experience and knowledge across the energy sector. And then the last, Mr. Brian Sullivan, the Chief Executive Officer at the EPK, which I believe is the same year of the experience 37 years working experience with in the energy sector. So, okay, 5 minutes. Okay, so first to Ibu Garin, I think continuing to your presentation, Ibu Garin. First of all, congratulations for the ASCOPE 50 years anniversary, founded in 1975. Um, and we also heard that in your presentation that the abbreviation of the ASCOPE was expanded to the ASEAN Council on Petroleum and Energy. So adding to the energy in ASCOPE, and I noticed also the logo of the ASCOPE also changing to the greenish color. So just wondering on that changing, Ibu Garin, could you tell us on how, like, what led to this inclusion of energy, and why it is now it's a good time for change, including the logo as well, Ibu Garin?
Okay, previously in my presentation, I said that in 1975, we just started with the petroleum. So the beginning of the ASCOPE, the joint study is about explorations, how to find the oil and gas. So now every industry has moving, after Paris agreements, we have moving to the cleaner energy. So it is what we have done so far. After years by years, I think in the middle of the decades, the second decades, I think we already moved to energy transition, starting from the interconnecting gas, which is cleaner than the oil. And also we have a new task forces, clean energy in 2023. That means that we are already started the cleaner energy. So it's a good time for us to change the visions and mission to the cleaner energy beyond oil and gas, so that we started our research to the integrations, the energy, not only from the fossil fuel, but also including the new renewable energies, so that we include the hydrogen or maybe the cleaner fossil fuel by CCUS and everything that related to the new, the cleaner energy.
Thank you, Bu Garin. So in ASCOPE, there are 4 task forces, right? And you are also the chair of the exploration and production, which is the very upstream. And there's also the clean energy task force. So just wondering, like, how this EPTF and all the task force, in particular the CETF alignment in working together under the ASCOPE, Garin.
Okay. Basically, that 2 task forces has a quite different activity to focus on. So the exploration and production task force, because it's our legacy. Most of oil and gas industry is doing the energy security, so that the focus is on the upstream investment. So what we are doing is to attract more investment in upstream. So we do a lot of activity doing formalize the regulations, what the best for upstream investment. For example, we have like a benchmarking fiscal term across the region. We benchmark also to others outside of the Southeast Asia, including like Norway, Guyana, that probably at this time in exploration side, they have a better investment fiscal. And then we ensure also in the exploration and production, because to make sure the resilience energy, we have a mature asset guideline to ensure operational and integrity, reliability of our operations. And at the end of the late life, we have also set the guideline for decommissioning. So to make sure every asset we left after all the productions have been done is secure, and that asset will be retired in the proper way. And also we have another task force which as part of our dual growth, The part one is the legacy of our industry in oil and gas. The dual growth is to have a sustainability energy, which we have to research in clean energy, and we map the energy, the strengthened energy for each country. For example, in Philippines, they're really advanced in wind. In Vietnam, they also advanced in solar. Indonesia advanced in geothermals. So we know each other how to develop, so that whenever it put together integration in a grid electricity, so we can transfer the need for the energy across the regions. So interconnecting between the exploration production task force and clean energy, just to make sure the exploration production task force also have a purpose for make a cleaner energy, such as like we have like a program study in CCS, CCUS. We keep all operation in efficiency in energy, so we make sure every generating of energy we do in the correct way to have a cleaner and proper emissions target.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bukarin, for this explanation on the task forces and what is the difference and what is the alignment between the task forces in ASCOPE. And can I move to Mr. Aziz? Perhaps Mr. Aziz is the president of the Malaysian Gas Association. I'm not sure if all the audience here also knows about the MGA. If you could share with us what is the MGA and what's the what MGA to, can you share a little bit on this?
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in this panel, and of course now you're giving me the opportunity to market MGA in a way. So MGA actually was formed in 1986. I think the main purpose is simple. We want to advocate for gas. In those days, gas usage was very much not widely as what it is today. And of course, as part of this advocacy, is the main objective is to make sure that gas would remain relevant. Yeah. So in over the years, our members now have grown to about 150, comprising the players from upstream, midstream, service providers, gas distributors. Yeah. So all these are part of the ecosystem in MGA, and we would like, we will always advocate to make sure that gas industry would remain a vibrant industry. We are also a charter member of International Gas Union, and there is a big recognition to MGA, where we have been appointed as the regional coordinator for Southeast Asia as well as South Asia. And of course, we bring, as part of this regional coordinator role, we bring the regional voice in IGU platform as part of IGU gas advocacy worldwide. Yeah. So we're still looking for members, for anybody that are interested to join MGA.
If anyone want to be a member, can you tell us how to join?
I have the Secretary General here in front of me. Just come and talk to Mr. Kezak.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, you mentioned that the MGA is the voice of the gas industry in particular in Malaysia, and I believe you have consistently contributed to the shaping the national energy policies, right? And a strong collaboration between the policymakers and industry, and is to making sure it is vital in driving the effective energy transition. So also from the MGA's experience, what kind of policies have been the most effective in pushing the oil and gas companies toward the decarbonization, and what lessons can ASEAN governments learn from this?
Okay. Indeed, we've been very active within Malaysia, of course, in working closely with the government. I think if you've been reading about Malaysia in the last 2-3 years, we have so many new initiatives by the government. National Energy Transition Roadmap, National Gas Roadmap, Energy Efficiency Conservation Act, gas market liberalization, open access for third-party access into Malaysia. So we have been engaging very active with the government. So the result of all this roadmap were not as part and parcel of our input. Again, to make sure that gas would remain relevant. Now you asked about lesson learned. ASEAN has about 10 countries. Today, a lot of this initiative is actually country-specific, looking inward, what you want to do for your country. But, if you look at ASEAN countries, each country has its own strength and weaknesses. If you look at it collectively as one region, I believe all this can be enhanced and making us a better market, a better one market that ultimately could not only address the big issue that we are facing, which is affordability and security. So if we can work as a region, perhaps the solution will be faster. I think one of the big initiatives that Malaysia is pushing now is the ASEAN Power Grid. I think it's timely to connect the whole country. Now, Ibu Garin mentioned just now, we started TAGP in the 90s. The fact of the matter is today, there's only 4 connections. Malaysia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Singapore, Indonesia, and Myanmar and Thailand. So why is only these 4 connections? What we have learned from this? If we continue to work just within our boundary, trying to protect what within our boundary, never address the cross-border issue, I think we will remain segregated. Well, Ibu Garin mentioned the connectivity has moved towards virtual connection through LNG regas terminal. Again, there are challenges. I mean, if Malaysia just address our regas terminal, Indonesia address their own regas terminal, Thailand address their own regas terminal, at the end of the day, you probably will have a lot of capacity surplus. But if you look at the region, probably those capacity can be further optimized. Regas capacity is expensive. You don't want to have a lot of capacity. So those are the things that I think could be, as a region, we should look at. How can we integrate better? Yeah.
Can you suggest what to do next in perhaps realizing the AGP, because I believe you are see this TAGP development in I think since the 90s. So how because I think the ATG is one of the ASCOPE area. So if do you have any suggestions or recommendations?
Well, the platform like ASCOPE, where we try to address the cross-border issue. Now, this forum is done in conjunction with AMEM. That's also a platform that actually we can bring all these, because these are decision makers. Again, the cross-border issue is actually the one that the becoming a big barrier in realizing all this integration. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aziz. So, Brian, we heard your keynote speech about the sustainable practice in the oil and gas, and EPK was also founded around the time of ASCOPE, I guess in 1974. And at the request of UNEP as the only global association on environmental issues involving both upstream and downstream industry. So, but in 2021, the Just Transition Task Force and Alternative Energy Task Force were established, and like how does the EPK help the oil and gas industry work on the issues of just transition, and with the formation of the Alternative Energy Task Force, what are the shifting dynamics that you foresee between the scale up of alternative energy with the oil and gas industry?
Thanks, yeah, and thank you for inviting me to join this panel. I'll start with the Alternative Energy Task Force work that we do. Excuse me. So back in 2020, we do a strategy review every few years, and the big question in the strategy review is, what is IPECA's role in the energy transition? And just to preface that, so IPECA's membership comprises some 45 companies and 32, actually from tomorrow, 33 associations, because ASCOPE will be formally approved as an IPECA member tomorrow. Those companies comprise all the international oil companies, so BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Total, and a number of national oil companies from across the world, starting with sort of, if we start with in the West, Petrobras, in Brazil, going across to the Middle East with Aramco and Qatar and ADNOC, and then obviously over in this region, in the ASEAN, we have Petronas, Pertamina, and PTTEP. And our role in the energy transition, our core specialism as an association is on climate, nature, communities, and then issues which are cross-cutting from a sustainability point of view, whether that be supply chains or sustainability reporting. And the outcome of that discussion was actually what our members wanted us to do in this area was to deploy the breadth of IPECA in support of energy transition related issues, because it's not just about managing emissions, it's about looking at the impacts of the solutions on the environment and communities. So as part of that, we have a net zero task force, which is, as I mentioned, the number of companies who've signed a net zero aim for scope 1, 2, and in some cases 3. Our nature work stream is focused on looking at the environmental and nature-based impacts and opportunities that come with the energy transition, so that whether that be nature-based solutions or when conducting impact assessments, for environmental impact assessments, we now look at the carbon stock impact as well as looking at other biodiversity-related impacts. In our social responsibility stream, that's where we decided to start looking at the Just Transition Task Force, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But the other area where we were, where we started doing new things was actually in alternative energy, because an increasing number of IPECA members were investing in businesses in the renewable space of all sorts of technologies. There's even some of our members have even gone for nuclear as well. But wind and solar was definitely a common theme. Biofuels also. We have 50 years of expertise in how to scale up projects in a way which does protects biodiversity and that respects human rights and communities in the areas where these projects are happening. And we looked around the global association landscape, and we found that the associations supporting those new technologies did not have an IPECA. They don't generally have working groups focused on communities, indigenous peoples and human rights, or impacts of water. So there was a gap, and we saw that, and we thought, okay, we'll what we can do is leverage our expertise. They don't need to reinvent the wheel. They don't. When you're deploying this technology, you don't need to make your own mistakes. You can learn from the body of knowledge that the industry has built, because quite a lot of social good practice, for example, is relevant to any technology. It's not an oil and gas specific thing. So what we've been doing initially was just to review our library of good practice and then make it available to companies, whether they're IPECA members or not, who are scaling up renewable energy businesses. What we're doing in that sector now is we're now looking at sustainable supply chains related to renewable energy. And in 2026, we're also going to be looking at the impacts of decommissioning renewable projects, because of course that is a very big thing as well. So this task force is leveraging the expertise the industry has built over many years and directing it in support of their activities in relation to renewable energy. It's quite an interesting area to work, because these businesses generally within the companies they're usually set up to be sort of arm's length activities that don't drag on the corporate overheads and all this sort of stuff. And that tends to mean they tend to be a bit light on access to expertise. And so we're filling that gap by convening them through the IPECA platform. On the just transition, it's one of the things. So we do a lot of work with you. We're the main channel for the industry to liaise with the United Nations on our topics of climate, biodiversity, human rights. And in the UN world, they have a lot of very significant initiatives which are defined by two words. So green economy being one, just transition is another. And what we actually needed to do first was to try and get our very diverse membership to come to some sort of common understanding as to what does a just transition actually mean. Because everybody's talking about it in the UN context, but I would imagine if you asked every country what a just transition meant to them, it would probably be different based on their individual energy status and their energy pathway to net zero. And so one of the things that we try to do as an association is try and help the members get to a point of common language, and then start working on, okay, what does that mean for us? And so, to précis where we came to, it's about a transition that supports communities and individuals and countries, so that there is equity across all nations in terms of the impacts of not only what we're transitioning from, but what we're transitioning to, because there is a high degree of risk in this particular area, particularly when it comes to communities who are typically more vulnerable than others. So there is a big risk, of course, that inequalities could grow wider if the energy transition is not delivered in a way which is just and equitable. One piece of work that we have done quite recently, which is we produce sustainability reporting guidance, and to help companies align on how they disclose their performance. And we've just updated our guidance to include just transition indicators, so companies can actually disclose and track and report how they're doing in relation to the just transition.
Thank you, Brian. So I just noticed that all of these panelists are actually like the ASCOPE is group of the NOCs, right? And then MGA is the group of gas companies, upstream, midstream, downstream. APEC also the group of your members. So I believe each of group has different priorities, strategies, right? Just to Ibu Garin, perhaps how is if ASCOPE aligning the different oil and gas strategies and priorities of the ASEAN member countries to ensure one voice toward the energy transition. And for later Mr. Aziz, how does the MGA ensure that the small and medium oil and gas industries are not left behind in the energy transition movement? So I think it's still related on how bringing and aligning all the different strategies and priorities. Please, first.
In ASCOPE, actually we have stated that we not let all members left behind. So also we adopt the words of inclusion. So means that every single activity should consider the benefit to all members. So regarding the business itself, we should consider collaborations between countries. For example, like if we have studies, we have to ensure all the members agrees with the studies and have a benefit for each others. For example, like upstream fiscal benchmarkings. Whenever we have a benchmark for each countries, later they know that maybe one of the countries will be like a bit lower attractive than the others. So it feels look like, well, our country is not good. But in terms of the positive way, we can see they can seek the what is the how they can improve their fiscal. We can ask our knowledge partner like S&P later on. We have collaboration with S&P to have advice from them whenever they have research study how to make the fiscal benchmark, and then we have discussions between S&P and that country, so to improve the fiscal itself. So that makes the exclusivity of the study. In terms of the priority, we know also each country has a different priority on the cleaner energy. And we know that because the strengthen, maybe we have to see what benefit for its country. For example, like Indonesia have strong in energy security. You have a lot of fossil fuels. And of course, in terms of cleaner energy, maybe we not bid bigger additions other than, for example, like Vietnam. So we know that priority is Indonesia is the fossil fuel maybe at the later 5 years from now, but from Vietnam maybe they are more in the cleaner energy. We know that part, but we can learn each other's how to make in the future. Probably from Indonesia can learn from Vietnam how to make cleaner energy for the business, and also for the others group whenever. As a base load, maybe cannot support. We can supply our energy to other country, like export the oil or export the gas itself to them. So that's kind of priority that we have that benefit to all members.
Thank you. So how about the MGA?
Okay, I think in the world of energy transition, there's, in as far as gas is concerned, there's two big debate really. Is gas a transition fuel, or is it a destination fuel? Of course, you ask me as MGA president, I say is a destination fuel, right? And being a destination fuel, it's going to benefit our members because they're all dabbling in gas. Yeah? So of course, there are challenges, you know. We cannot let gas to be left behind. So there's a lot of effort within MGA. Of course, the policy, whatever that I mentioned, is an ongoing effort. But also, we have programs even at university level, just to educate the younger generation. Gas is not a dying industry. Oil and gas is not a dying industry. Of course, and gas as a destination fuel, we have to acknowledge that in a cleaner world, we must make sure that gas is cleaner. Although today is cleaner than coal, but it has to be of lower carbon footprint and if possible become zero. So that's a lot of policy discussion with the government. How can the government support the industry to pursue all this decarbonization effort? Mind you that decarbonization costs money. If we cannot pass it through to the customer, who's going to bear the cost? So all this advocacy that MGA is doing is actually to position gas and also to enable gas to be of cleaner and still remain relevant as a destination fuel.
Thank you. I remember that the destination fuel from Tansri. Okay. I heard one word is collaboration from Ibu Garin and I saw in your presentation that ASCOPE and EPA also have a collaboration and recently signed the MOU and could be perhaps Brian, if you could share with us why collaborating with ASCOPE is important for you and how do you see this collaboration for the future of the oil and gas industries?
Okay. Yes. Thanks. So yeah, it's a very important development for us. So it was so important actually that 2 weeks ago in Bangkok we went to the signing. I actually missed an IPECA board meeting which was taking place in Brazil, so that I could be in place to sign this. And it's because one of the main goals that we have as IPECA is to enable the industry to grow its leadership in terms of environmental and social good practice around the world, but also to ensure that there is access to an uptake of the best practice available when it comes to sustainability around the world. And it's not just about making our members look good, it's about the industry, because our members are very clear that they understand that the industry is measured by its total performance. So every company around the world is dependent on all the other companies in the world for ensuring that oil and gas remains part of the energy mix in a way that is sustainable. So with ASCOPE, it's very important to us because they provide the regional leadership and for the ASEAN region, and what we bring is access to global subject matter experts from within the industry who are more than willing to share their knowledge and their expertise in order to support progress in the region.
Thank you. I think time is up, but I have one last questions and to all of the panelists here, and looking ahead from the business perspective, what are the biggest risks that you would be concerned about in the next year or 2 years or perhaps longer, 5 years in the oil and gas industry and or the energy sector as a whole? So I start from Ibu Garin and then Mr. Aziz and Brian. Please.
Yeah, the biggest risk in oil and gas industries that we face is the declining of productions. So in the upstream sectors, we see that the declining in reduction is like perhaps maybe more than 30% a year. So that's we have to find another source of energy that can replace the productions for each company. So that's not only for the revenue itself, but also to the energy security for the nationals like Indonesia. So how to maintain that? We have to secure also, and also we see all country is import the oil from the rest of the world. Yeah, so then it will be the bigger is whenever the other part of the world also not supporting ours. So we have to have a great cooperations with amongst the members to support each others and also around the world to supply us the energy. As now, maybe the renewable energy is not really make us a base load. Yeah, there's another base load like a geothermal, but it's not much enough. It doesn't enough. And also like a nuclear in ASEAN also hasn't got ready yet. And so that we have to still remain depends on the fossil fuel. So that we have like APSA, ASEAN Petroleum Security Agreements, that agreement between members to collaborate in whenever we have a lack of oil supply or energy supplies to each country. So I hope it can benefit as long as we still together to have discussions every single years, so that we have know to each other's what we have, what we need, and what we do for others.
Thank you. I think APSA, new APSA is just endorsed by the ministers today. So from MJ's perspective, what is the biggest risk?
Okay, maybe not at the business level, but at the industry level, the biggest challenges still remain for this region is about energy security and affordability. So if you look at it from the business perspective, it is an opportunity, right? How do the business solve these challenges through an opportunity? Of course, like Ibu Garin mentioned, the region is not blessed with resources. We still imported a lot of LNG, a lot of oil, but that's on the hydrocarbon front. But on the renewable front, actually, if you look at the region, there could be a balance there. Vietnam has a lot of wind power, hydropower. Laos has a lot of hydropower, whatnot. This could be balanced between the region. How can we integrate all this as a business? Yeah, if we can integrate all this, it's become a business opportunity. Of course, the challenges, as I mentioned just now, how do we tackle this cross-border issue? Malaysia this year is the chair of ASEAN. Malaysia is pushing hard for ASEAN Power Grid. Early this year or late last year, the interconnection Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore was actually realized to enable the flow of access green energy in Laos into Singapore through the three countries. Yeah, so these are things that would become an opportunity for the business, and Malaysia as the chair is really pushing hard for this integration. Yeah.
Thank you. I like the challenges, to convert the challenges into the opportunities. Brian, please.
Okay, so I'm going to use my glasses that look at the UN and the UN processes that are going on. And so the thing that worries me most is failure to progress at the UN on topics like climate change. So will COP30 be successful? And how would you measure success for COP30 as well, which is a difficult one. But we're in a world which dealing with issues like climate change or biodiversity loss require global collaboration. It's great to see the level of collaboration that happens within ASEAN. I've been to sort of immerse myself in over recent months as we've been talking with ASCOPE. So it's good to see that here. That's a shining light because it's looking pretty patchy elsewhere. But and so there is a risk that it could play out in UN negotiations like COP30. Obviously, we've got the US disengaged from the UNFCCC process. And also you see them using their energy capabilities as a lever to pressure other nations to follow their line. We're seeing that it's happening, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So the thing that worries me is if international processes at global level start to fail in a significant way. I'm a natural optimist, so I think that progress will be made because there are enough people around the world, enough countries around the world who want it to succeed. But there is a risk it will be disrupted.
Thank you. So I think this is the end of our panel discussion. Please give a round of applause for Ibu Garin and then Mr. Aziz and Brian. And thank you very much for your insightful conversation and thoughts and suggestion recommendations. So thank you very much, and thank you very much also for your time, and thank you very much for all the participants to stay with us until 6 p.m. and yeah, thank you very much, and back to you, Shania.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suwanto, and all of the panelists as well. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. I think one of the key, yes, the photographer, would you like to take a picture of, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I think one of the key takeaway or strategy rather for oil and gas business in the energy transition is, I think, collaboration between companies, and this is where associations like ASCOPE, IPECA, and MGA plays a role, as well as regionally and internationally. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending this parallel session, and have a great day.